This is Scott Fain with the Youngstown Lifestyle Podcast, where I take the time to learn about the people and opportunities in the Youngstown, Ohio community. Today I had the pleasure of talking with Nathan Bibb, a local investor looking to open up the wholesale market in Youngstown while helping other investors to network and grow their business. Nathan has a great energy and a lot of great information to share. So without further delay, let's start the show. This is Scott Fain with the Youngstown Lifestyle Podcast, and today my guest is Nathan Bibb, investor and man about town. How are you doing today, Nathan?
Good, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you being on. Do you prefer Nathan or Nate?
I don't really care. It's Nathan's usually what people call me, but I get both my whole life.
Okay. I'll do Nathan then. Well, basically how I came to even know about you is my partner, Matthew, spoke very highly of you. You know, we're doing a deal in Youngstown already. And he got into contact with you and just had nothing but stellar things to say. Said, "Oh, you have to talk to Nathan. You have to really hear him out because he's doing some interesting things in the city." And like I said, I couldn't wait to talk to you. So why don't you tell me a little bit of how you got into investing in Youngstown in the first place?
Yeah, I actually moved here with my wife from San Diego back in February of 2014. We were actually we're going to only be in Youngstown for about a month because we were moving to Pittsburgh to develop the area of Western Pennsylvania for like a medical weight loss company. But, you know, when I got to Youngstown, we were just crashing at my mother-in-law's place looking to, just trampoline over to Pittsburgh. And I saw the housing market here and just saw how low the values in real estate were here. And it just blew me away. And, being from, where I'm from, and I'd never really seen vacant houses. And I'm like, why is that house sitting empty? And so it brought up all these questions being into a new real estate market. And, I had never done anything in real estate, never had any ambitions, but I just felt like, I had some capital to work with. And I was like, there's got to be some type of opportunity here. And so I self-taught myself for a good 6 months to a year. I probably read, 75 to 100 different real estate books. And just kind of came across wholesaling. And so I learned that you could, use none of your own money, get property under contract, and then move that for a profit. And obviously that was very interesting to me because it was a no money down way to enter real estate. So through my networking, I dove into the local market. I found the local real estate investor club. And, through that, I actually met a business partner of mine. He was a contractor and an investor, and he knew, a lot more than I did about it. And he was involved in some pretty high level networking groups when it comes to real estate. And so I, basically just showed up at this dude's office for a year straight, not getting paid off anything, but I would just do whatever needed done. And, that started off with acquisitions and marketing. And, marketing was kind of my background, and acquiring actually cell phones was my last business. And so I would, buy quantities of cell phone and, sell them overseas through a contact I had in Los Angeles. And so I knew how to acquire things. And so really all I did is I changed my cash for electronics business into cash for houses. So that developed into, out-of-state relationships because we had this really good product that people wanted, which was low-value real estate with a high return. And so I realized quickly that, there's lots of people out there looking to buy this stuff, but, you have to bridge the gap. And property management is the gap between, California, Florida, New York money and being able to sell this real estate. So seeing that opportunity, we built a property management company called Rust Belt Rentals, which is still active today, based out of Boardman, Ohio, and still an owner in that company, but it's not something I'm active in anymore. But my wife and I, we did that for about 3 years. Market kind of shifted, prices started going up, and the spreads we were in the turnkey real estate space, and so we would buy single-family houses, renovate them, rent them, and then resell them to our investors. And we would keep the management on the back end through Rust Belt Rentals. And that went well for a while. We did, maybe 20, 30 of those houses. We kind of stepped up our game into multifamily, started buying some fourplexes, and then we got a couple 12-unit deals that we grabbed. And we would renovate those units there, raise the rents, force appreciation, increase the cap rate, and then resell that to our buyers as well and keep the management on the back end again. So, during that time, I realized that, man, there's so much more money in apartments, and they're just easy. And so, when you're doing a single family house, you're dealing with A to Z. When you're doing a multifamily property and you got to renovate, let's say 9 out of 12 units, which is the last one that we did, all you're doing is cookie cuttering out the same, scope of work unit by unit.
Right.
So it makes things just a lot easier to plan for. And I know that we can do a unit, for let's say $4,000 to $5,000, and it's going to rent for $750. That's easy. And so you can get a lot more bang for your buck in multifamily, which is where I'm really focused lately. That and wholesaling. I just figured out that, there's the spreads in this market for flipping. They're there, but they're not enormous. We don't have the resale that that the bigger states have, Florida, California, New York, all that stuff. And so spreads on flipping weren't crazy high, but then I found out that, you can do a lot more volume by wholesaling. And so that's where I'm at now. It's my wife and I. We have a little operation called Hometown Fixer Upper. That's something that we're growing. And all of that has happened over the past 5 years. And so now we're really just doing a single family flip here and there. I'm probably about on my last actual single family renovation, and I'm looking to just build a larger wholesale business because that's what I found where, it took me 5 years to figure it out, but that's where the money is out here. And there's lots of people around here who are ready to do the work, put in the sweat equity themselves, and, make $5,000 or $10,000 on a flip where I can make that same amount if I just sell them the property. So why am I going to spend 3, 4, 5 months renovating the house to make $20,000 when I can do that 20 times in that amount of time and make way more money? So that's been my kind of real estate path.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say that's actually very similar. Your story, the scope of your story is very similar to how we came up in Detroit, doing a lot of business like that and doing wholesaling and stuff like that. So it's the similar type of market, but it's a little bit larger. So you talk about your spreads being larger. And one of the things that I was telling Matthew was that Youngstown reminds me a lot of Detroit, the Detroit market about 10 years ago after the crash when all the values went low. Not that they're as low as that, but just there was a lot of opportunity at that time for, being able to pick up deals and things like what you're just
6 months after I moved here, I started calling this place Little Detroit. You're exactly right. It's a cookie cutter, just, micro-sized Detroit market, and we have all the same stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah. Now, I was doing a little bit of research and heard a little bit from Matthew as well. You have a new event coming up on the 5th with your Mafioso Real Estate Group. Wanted to hear you tell me a little bit about that. Describe what's that about?
Well, it's a hole in the market is what it is. There, Youngstown, it's a smaller place, and it's a little bit behind the times of bigger markets. And so I've connected with people in Los Angeles, San Diego, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and, Florida. And I just, through social media these days, it's so powerful, the influencers that you can watch on these, that just give out this free content all the time. And so social media is the key to, in my opinion, is one of the largest factors in being successful in real estate these days. And so these guys are just, putting so much free content out there. And honestly, I'm copying what they do in my local market. There's a guy down, he's from the Cleveland market, and that's where he operates his business, but he runs it out of, I think it's West Palm Beach, Florida, a guy by the name of Mark Evans, DM. He goes by the Dealmaker, but a bunch of my Cleveland connections just went down to one of his events. That was just this last Monday and Tuesday. And it was all about email marketing and, just becoming a larger social media presence in your market. And so I didn't have a chance to go to the event, but what I pulled out of the free content that he was giving was, hey, if there's no local social media, real estate professional that's getting really loud in your market, be that person, fill that gap. And so that's what this event is all about. We have a local, real estate investors association here. It's called the Mahoning Valley Real Estate Investors Association. Good group. It's been around for about 40 or 50 years. I used to be the vice president of it, but I ran out of time. I had to put more time into my business. But it was, there are definitely some players in that group. It's a lot of old landlords. I mean, on any given meeting, there could be, people that own 50 to, 500 properties sitting in that room, but there's no real good way that they have to communicate with each other outside of just talking at that monthly meeting. And so I wanted to create a group of people that have a closed Facebook group where we can do deal sharing and do joint venture agreements and really just bring a lot of the wholesalers that are in town together so we can move this real estate. Because one of the things that I hate the most is letting a good deal go because it can't be sold. And usually the reason the deal can't be sold is one simple reason. It's exposure. I mean, a good deal, someone wants it. That's for sure. But maybe the new person that's new into it, they get a property under contract at a great price, and oh crap, what do I do with it now? I don't have a buyer's list. Well, lean on the group to sell it. And so I'm going to be putting out a lot of content in the group. And honestly, Scott, what I'm doing is I'm in a group that I'm basing this off of in Cleveland. It's called the Bulletproof Cartel, and it's run by a guy by the name of Steve Morris, a very successful investor. I think he's a young guy, 26, got, I don't know, probably pushing $1 million or something plus real estate portfolio. It might be way bigger. I really don't know, but I know he's definitely a player in his market, and he does this in Cleveland. And that's a group that I pay for every month, and I get a lot of value out of that. And so that's just something that we don't have here. And I just want to bring the players in the market together so we can do more deals. And that's really what it's all about.
Well, it sounds like an excellent opportunity. I mean, that's a very similar experience to us. We networked with some of the local real estate groups, but you're right. There is a little bit of a hole when it comes to connecting, on social media directly with people. You can do a Facebook thing, they have the little trade groups and things like that that are really helpful to, finding contractors, and occasionally you find someone who's interested in doing a deal with you, but having a little bit more structured and organized is really good. Now, you had mentioned it's about local. How can someone that's interested in the Youngstown market, it's very similar to myself, but not necessarily located in the area, join and participate in the group?
It will be something, just reach out to me on Facebook. Name's Nathan Bibb, last name B-I-B-B. I'm pretty loud. I do a lot of public posts, and just reach out. It is going to be geared more towards local people, but if you are an out-of-state buyer or out-of-the-area buyer who's interested in buying in this local market, this is going to be what I see is evolving into the hub of off-market, discounted potential rental properties along with just a host of other content. I mean, Scott, in the past 5 years, I've probably spent $50,000 on my real estate education and going to networking events. That's something that I don't skimp out on. And it's because I've learned the value in it. Real estate is 100% a pay-to-play game. And if you want to be in the same room with people that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month or, millions and millions of dollars a year, sometimes you have to drop $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to hang out in the room with them. And every time I've ever done that, the value that I've walked away from with those groups is just insane. And so that's not, that's not exactly something I'm talking about doing here. This group isn't going to cost thousands of dollars, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share so much of the information that I've pulled out for the people who maybe don't have the ability to do that, or they don't have the connection with these people yet, or they just simply don't know about it. So one of the things I'm going to be doing on a weekly basis is simply making video content, just doing live videos inside the group. It's the same thing that, the guy I'm learning from up in Cleveland is doing. And he puts videos on all types of different topics in the group. And, just the nuggets that you pull out from the content that they share is just insane. And, you don't want to, I'm not selling some type of crazy business model here or something, because you need to make your own way, but take what other successful people are doing, and take that one little piece and just tweak your business. You don't need to, real estate's one of the oldest games that there is. It's been done the same way for a long time. So just do it your way, but then take what other people are doing and tweak your own methods. And so some of the stuff that I'm going to be putting in there the video content is just really how to quickly evaluate and make offers on single family and multifamily properties. I can walk a 100-unit apartment building and I can literally have an offer ready within 25 minutes. It's going to be a ballpark offer, but all I have to do is just, do a couple little repair estimations. We have 75 units we need to renovate. It's going to cost $5,000. I think when we refinance out, we're going to be looking at like a 7.25% cap rate. I want to buy it at 10% cap. Like that's how I want to do it. And I can come up with a ballpark number. This guy's asking 1.1 million. Well, I know that my offer is going to be 850,000. So why ask him to spend a week and get his profit and loss statements together, get 12 months of utilities, to see if you guys are even in the same ballpark on an offer. So it's just, I literally spent $8,500 just to learn how to do that with a dude in Cleveland by the name of Tim Brotz. It's an incredibly successful investor. I think I met him about 14 months ago. In about 3 years, he went from like 0 rental properties to about 1,100 units. So he had when I met him, he had like a $95 million real estate portfolio. In his past 12 to 14 months, since I've been friends with him and gone to his events and followed him on Facebook, he's doubled down on that. I think he's at about 200 million now. And I actually listened to a podcast he was on this morning, and they're projecting in the next 12 months to be at a $300 million portfolio with a 48-month goal of being at $1 billion. So,
and this is all nationwide?
It's mainly Midwest and Southern United States. So Ohio is where they're based out of. They buy in Oklahoma City, Georgia, Florida, maybe a Carolina, but just, and he's done it through social media networking, which is really impressive. He's just so loud on social media that, he buys apartments building and he's so crystal clear on his criteria, and he'll joint venture with anybody. And so he basically turned his social media profile and, his email marketing list into this enormous buyer's list of people that he's willing to do joint venture deals on, because he's got the balance sheet to get commercial bank financing on any deal, renovate it, and, do a BRRRR deal, the BRRR deal. So you buy it, you renovate it, you rent it, then you refi it. Mm-hmm. And so they have this amazing structure on buying apartment buildings. And so I've just watched him shoot off like a rocket in the past year, and just hearing those goals this morning, it just makes you think so much bigger than you've ever thought before. And so that's one of the things I also want to bring to this group is, excuse me, wholesaling is a great place to start. And that's where I want to focus this, because this is a great market for wholesaling. But, stack your chips, step up your game, evolve in real estate, use wholesaling as a stepping stone to get into other things and to really crank your game up. And so I'm looking for a handful of people to just really jump up with me as well, because, we're looking for large apartment deals all across Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee as well. And all I'm doing is I'm following the path that somebody else cut for me that I paid a couple bucks to learn.
Well, tell me when the event's going to take place.
Oh, that's actually going to be this Tuesday. It's March 5th at 5:30 at Krakatoa in Boardman. It's just a little watering hole that I like. There's a lot of standing room. It's not going to be super structured, but I just want people to come out, have a couple drinks on us and just talk. I'm going to pass out some information about the group, and I've already got, a handful of local players in the market who have committed to being in here, and these are pretty serious buyers with some pretty heavy buyers lists as well. And so I've got some of the people who are already moving a lot of property in the area that are going to be in the group. I'm going to be in there. And so, what people are going to have access to is my buyers list, their buyers list, and just access to joint venture. I'm putting all my real estate contracts in there, purchase agreements, assignment of contract documents, joint venture agreements, and rehab analyzers, deal analyzers, just all of the tools that I've been using. I'm probably dumb as a rock for doing this, but dude, I'm just giving it away because there's this analogy that I really like. It's about sunshine. And so this is something else I picked up from Tim. I just repeat a bunch of other really famous people's stuff. That's all I do, and it works. And so he's got this great analogy about sunshine. He's like, he equates it to success. He's like, if we're standing outside and we're both basking in the sun, the amount of sun that you're going to get is not going to affect the amount of sun I'm going to get. So we can both enjoy all this success together. And, rising tides raise all ships is another one of his lines.
Right.
And those are it's just, when you take a selfless approach to helping other people, especially in real estate, I just believe it comes back tenfold, and that's what I'm looking to give away. I mean, if the thing goes belly up, it goes belly up, but I'm extremely passionate about this. I think it's going to work, and I'm just looking to help a bunch of people get in.
I think it will too. You coming from, like you're saying, a very passionate place, and I also like that you're speaking from a place of abundance, not scarcity. A lot of people, when they approach, especially real estate, it's like a zero-sum game. I've got to make my money, and if I'm looking at what you're making, and there's a lot of that kind of attitude that I've bumped into over the years. And sometimes it's like you just want to come together on some sort of a mutually beneficial deal. And it sounds like what you're putting together is really going to generate more deals like that. People talking and communicating. It's wonderful. I'll make sure to put that on the podcast here, so if someone's hearing this and they want to come out and take a look at it and meet with you, then they have the information.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that.
Before we go, I like to cap off the podcast with a random question. I want to see what your answer would be. Who's your cartoon character and why?
My cartoon character? Wow. I have no idea, man. I don't watch cartoons. Let's see. All right. I'm going to do this just because it's the first thing that popped in my mind, and I think it's funny. I'm going to go with Scrooge McDuck. Because he gets his.
You want to swim around in that money pile. I know that.
I want to be sliding down a pile full of gold coins, but I want my friends there with me.
Oh, I'll take that. Well, I appreciate your time today, and really thank you for sharing some information with us. Sounds like you're going to have a really great event and a great club. And I hope.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that, man.
All right. Well, I'll make sure to, like I said, I'm going to put the information up, and hopefully everything will be a success.
All right, awesome. Thanks for having me on, Scott. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.